this Hildryn build will make you become an AC 130. All you would have to do is activate one ability and spray and pray, and everything will get eviscerated. And there's a reason why Hildryn can be able to do this, because of this augment that came out when Uriel came out, which was, I believe, within the old peace update. And this will allow you to spray and pray while also dealing a excruciating amount of damage. And you've been probably seeing a boatload of people using Hildryn right now because she is that strong. She'll basically do anything in the game for you. And I do think that she is probably one of the most used Warframes for me. And so without wasting any of your time, let's get straight into this AC 130 Hildryn build. For Hildryn's passive, her shield gating is extremely high. And once you run out of shields, you'll basically be immune to any damage for 3.5 seconds. But for her first ability, which is Balefire, it will pull out your Exalted weapon, which is basically like a charged pistol. And when you shoot with this ability, you're going to be wasting shields, because the main thing for Hildryn is that you're not going to be having energy. So instead of using energy, you're going to be consuming your shields. So no energy, you're going to be consuming shields when you use any of her abilities. So if you were to tap the trigger with this ability, it's going to be like a normal projectile shot. If you were to charge it, it's going to enhance the effects for the explosion radius and your damage as well. Her second ability is going to be Pillage. This will steal shields from enemies, and they would convert all of those shields onto you. So this is going to be our main source of sustaining our shields when using our abilities. Also too, you will be able to armor strip enemies, and it also ties to how much strength you have. So the more strength you have, the more armor strip you're going to be taking off of the enemies with Pillage. And you will also be able to remove any status effects from yourself and your teammates. Her third ability we're mostly never going to use, and it's called Haven. This is more of a support ability where it creates a shield aura around your allies that will help them get even more shields. But if enemies were to touch it, they will take radiation damage. And the main bread and butter for Hildryn that we're going to be using for this build is called Aegis Storm. This will allow you to basically become an AC 130, where you just lift yourself up into the air, and if enemies were to be near you, they will also be lifted in the air. Basically, they become suspended, and as you have Aegis Storm activated, you're going to be draining your shields consistently. That's why using our 2 will help us sustain our shields. And when you do run out of your shield, you will be plopped down onto the ground, and also enemies that were suspended will also do the same, and they will take damage as well once they hit the floor. So as soon as you activate your 4, your first ability is going to activate as well, because that's going to be our primary weapon for this build. In order for you to deal a boatload of damage with Hildryn, you're going to need to use this augment called Aegis Gale. This augment will benefit for your 4th ability, which is Aegis Storm. This will make you have the ability to have an alternate fire, and this alternate fire will deal 15% extra damage depending on how much max shields you have for Hildryn. So we're going to need to spike as much shield as possible to deal a lot of damage with our 4th ability. So when you use the alternate fire, you're basically shooting bursts instead of single shots. So the number of projectiles you're going to shoot every time with your alternate fire is 4 projectiles instead of 1. For the arcanes, you're going to want to go for these 2. The first one is Arcane Expertise. This will basically give you more max shields depending on how much strength you have. So the more ability strength you have, the more shields you're going to be getting. The second arcane is called Aegis. When your shield takes damage, you'll have a chance to get shield recharge for 12 seconds. This will help us sustain our shields when in combat. And for both of these arcanes, I highly recommend to go all the way up to rank 5 within each of these arcanes to fully optimize this build. So here are all of the mods I was using. I was basically spiking all of this into the 4th ability. So whenever you activate your 4, you're going to be getting a boatload of strength, which ties to giving you even more shields because of Arcane Expertise, while also spiking into a boatload of range, which will help us with the 2nd ability, Pillage. So we can be able to hit more enemies so we can siphon their shields. And lastly, I am using redirection, but I know there is primed redirection. I don't have it. So if you are one of those Tennos that do have it, be sure to swap that. But everything else, you can copy it if you like. Oh, and last thing, on the aura mod, I went with corrosive projection, because if you didn't know, the 2nd ability for Pillage will armor strip enemies. So by having corrosive projection, it will just stack that even further. For the Exalted weapon for Hildryn, here are the mods I was using. I spiked into multi-shot, increasing the AoE for the Balefire, and also putting in more critical damage, while also applying blast and spiking into more electricity. And if you don't know, this Exalted weapon has a 5% critical chance that is horrible. So we're going to be using this arcane called Secondary Enervate. When we get hits with this weapon, it will increase our critical chance by 10%, and this will reset after 6 big critical hits. When they mean by big critical hits, it's those orange colors. So it's not the yellow, it's not the red, it's the orange. So if you were to get 6 orange critical hits, it's gonna reset the critical chance. And if you do have rank 5 for this arcane, you will sometimes get red crits as well. So basically every crit. This one is a honorable mention if you want to increase your fire rate for the Balefire. And a friend mentioned this one to me, and he said to put on the Furix Wraith because of this mod called Amalgam Furix Body Count. This will increase your fire rate for your secondary weapons by 45%. If you didn't know, the Balefire is considered a secondary weapon, so that would help us increase the fire rate for that weapon. But if you don't have this weapon, don't worry, you don't have to use it. I just did it for the increased fire rate. But the main weapon I was using for Hildryn, even though we're never going to be out of our 4, is the Torid. I heard that a lot of people don't like using it, but it's fun and I enjoy it, so deal with it. For the incarnate on the Torid, here's what I ran. I'm just gonna hover over it. You can copy it if you like. If not, then you can just change it. If you want to sustain your shields 100% of the time, I highly recommend going for a Roxa Kubro, because this will basically convert the dog's shields and transfer it to yours. So here's what I was using for the dog. I know there is a mod slot that isn't available, so that's gonna be like an open mod slot, so you can put any other mod you like for your playstyle. But as what you're seeing here, these are the go-to mods if you want to have a 100% shield sustain for Hildryn. So basically you don't have to worry about losing a boatload of shields, and if you do run low on shields, then just press your 2 and you'll get your shields back. And for the claws, you can copy it if you like, but I think all of this is pretty dog schmeat, so do what you want to do. Mainly just copy the mods on the Roscoe Kubro. The next category for the build is the Archon Shards. For all of the 5 Archon Shards, I highly recommend spiking into the Crimson Archon Shard. If you have Talforge, go for it. Each of the Crimson Archon Shards will be ability strength, because remember, the more ability strength we have, the more shield we're going to be receiving. And last but not least, for the schools on the operator, I ran the Madurai school to give me even more ability strength for Hildryn. And you would need to go to this skill tree right here called Sling Strength. All you would have to do is Void Sling twice, and you will be granted 40% ability strength for 20 seconds. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to Void Sling first twice, then swap to Hildryn, activate your 4, and you'll be granted extra shields and ability strength with Madurai. I hope you guys enjoyed this build video. If you found this helpful or informative and you learned something new, I would appreciate it if you were to hit that like button and also subscribe. And if you have any questions, thoughts, or concerns, be sure to let me know in the comments, and I'll try my best to answer it. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, evening, or afternoon. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.